Hello, hello. Welcome back to Shanificent. My name is Shani, and I'm so happy you're here. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I have a question for you. I got another question. How available are you? Or rather, what are you unavailable for? What are you unavailable for? Do you even know? I love thinking about unavailability in regards to boundaries. Boundaries, for me, boundaries and unavailability go hand in hand. Having boundaries and being unavailable. I love the word unavailable in this conversation and in this context because I think it makes boundaries a lot easier. I feel like a lot of us struggle with boundaries. We struggle to assert boundaries because I don't know, like sometimes it's like we think we're a bad person. Please go see my There's No Such Thing as a Good or Bad Person video. Or we think we're being mean, or we think we're being unreasonable. But for me, like the word unavailable and thinking of it as like, what am I available for and unavailable for? What am I not available for? Really helps me assert the boundaries and establish the boundaries that I really need for my own peace. Because that's the thing, like boundaries are your key to peace. I'm telling you. The thing in between you and peace right now is setting a boundary. It's that simple. Although it's also not that simple, because I know setting a boundary can be really hard because it requires us to love ourselves enough to do what we need to do for our own peace and joy and happiness and bliss, but especially peace. And yeah, the reasons why we struggle to set boundaries a lot of the time is because we haven't quite reached that level of self-love and self-worth where we feel we are worthy of peace, period. We are worthy of peace regardless of anything. We are worthy of peace right now, and therefore we can do what needs to be done. We can have the conversation that needs to be had. We can set the boundary in place that needs to be set so that we can get peace. So yeah, I love to think about it in the context of, or in the sense of like, what am I unavailable for? Because that's a really helpful framework to think about boundaries, or when you're setting boundaries, see it this way. Like if I say, so for example, like I don't like to text people like after 10, and my phone is on Do Not Disturb from 11. It's on Do Not Disturb from 11 until when I wake up the next day. So for me, that means I am unavailable for conversations, for communication past 10. And I'm very unavailable for conversations past 11. So let's just say I'm unavailable for conversations past 11. That's what it means for me. I'm unavailable for them. Like they don't exist. In my world, this is what it means. In my world, I am not communicating with anyone past 11. In my reality, in my life, in my experience of life, that just doesn't happen. It's not a part of my life. I'm unavailable for it. I'm unavailable, you know? You see how that feels, and like that framing is just so, to me, it's so perfect. It's so beautiful. Because it's like, nope, I just turned down the volume on that. In my reality, it doesn't exist. Sorry. I'm not here for it. Like it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I'm just not available for it. It can't happen for me and to me. So think about that in the context of like a boundary that you need to set with other people. Like let's say you're going out, but you only want to be out for a certain amount of time, or you want to leave at a certain amount of time. You're going to like an event, a party, whatever. You have that conversation with yourself beforehand. You have it beforehand, and you decide, okay, I'll go to this thing, but I'm leaving at 10. I'm leaving at 10. Like that's what I'm available for. I'm available to be there for 3 hours. I will go at 7. I will leave at 10. That's what I'm available for. And you've had that conversation with yourself. Because actually, yes, boundaries are a conversation with yourself first. Boundaries are a conversation you have with yourself first. They're not something that you have to, you sit with someone and you agree on with someone else on. They're not a two-way thing. They're not something that you need to agree with someone else on. You don't need someone else to co-sign your boundary for it to be legit. You don't. You just need to have decided with yourself that it is legit. You need to have decided for yourself that you're not available to be at the party after 10. You're just not available. In your reality, you're not at the party after 10. You're just not there. Okay? So you see how that just opens the door for your boundary to exist that way, for your reality to be that way, because that's what we're actually doing when it comes to boundaries. We're like defining and shaping the terms of our reality, of how life is for us. That's why they're so important, and that's why without them you're going to be miserable, because you're going to be living a life you don't want. You're going to be living a life that doesn't feel good to you, that doesn't serve you, because ideally, as we grow older and older, and as we develop more agency in our lives, that's what I guess that's what it means to be an adult and to continue to be an adult year after year after year, is we develop more agency for ourselves. And as we develop more agency for ourselves in our lives, we should be curating and shaping and navigating our lives and cultivating our lives in such a way that it's filled with all the things that make us feel good, that bring us joy, that bring us life force, that help us keep going, that help us feel energized enough to wake up the next day and the next day and the next day. Because best believe that if you don't have boundaries, you're not going to want to wake up. You're not going to want to wake up and get into the day. You're going to be like, like groaning. I have to do this thing I don't want to do. I have to do this thing I don't want to do. I have to see this person I don't want to see. I have to do all of these things that I have to. Do you have to though? Do you have to? Currently, yeah, you do, because in the conversation you're having with yourself, you're saying that you have to do it. You haven't sat with yourself and said, you know what, we don't like this. We don't like seeing that person. We don't like it. So we're just not going to go to that place where they frequently are. Or we're not going to go for that long. We're only going to be there for a little bit because the thing doesn't feel good to me. This person doesn't make me feel good. Being around them doesn't make me feel good. Going to this place doesn't make me feel good. It's all about feeling good. That's another thing. That's why boundaries go back to self-love and self-worth, because if you feel like you're not worthy of feeling good, of course you're not going to feel worthy of setting a boundary that protects your peace and your joy. You're not going to. So if you're someone who struggles with setting boundaries, know that that's the work. The work is to develop more self-love, to value yourself more, value your time more, value your peace more. Because let me tell you, your peace is so important, and you're the only one that can protect it. You are the only one that can protect it. No one else can. No one else can, and that's a really sad truth that a lot of us struggle to hear and struggle to accept, because we want someone else to be responsible for our boundaries. That's why we like to try and get a cosign from someone else that, like, okay, like, you're not allowed to talk to me too much. Like, you talk too much and you're not allowed to talk that much in this conversation. You're not allowed to. And then we do what we can to get them to co-sign this contract, and then that's when we can have the boundary. That's when we're allowed to feel the peace of not being talked at entirely too much from this person. No. Stop waiting for other people to, like, agree with your boundaries. Your boundaries are your own. There are conversations you have with yourself, and they're you and you. They are you and you. Like, your boundaries are like, and I feel like people who have strong boundaries, meaning people who are comfortable with saying no and feel good about their no and can say no easily, have a sense of authority over themselves and with themselves. Like, they have a sense of personal authority. That's also personal authority, and having boundaries go hand in hand. Children struggle to have boundaries because they haven't developed a sense of agency yet, and a sense of agency and authority over their own lives. So it's understandable why they would struggle to set a boundary. They don't know that they can. They don't know that their life is their own, But we damn well sure should. I don't know if that made sense. We damn well should know as adults that our lives are our own. And, like, we can either, if you're going to continue to complain about having to do things you don't like and see people you don't like and live a life that you don't like, that's on you. It's on you, because it's like, you have the power to set the boundary. You're just not doing it. So yeah, like, remember that boundaries are a conversation with yourself first. You set the boundary first with yourself, and then you just embody it. Like, if I've decided that I'm not available to talk to people from 11 p.m., I'm just not available for it, then I can just be in it. Like, we've come to an agreement with myself, me and me. We have come to an agreement, and it's been decreed. You should see it as that. Like, it's been decreed that I am not available for this. I'm not going to do this. And that's what it is. And people can have their issues with it. That's another thing. I think a huge reason why we struggle to set boundaries, we struggle to say no, is because of other people's reactions to our no. And look, they're entitled to their reactions. People can react how they want to react, and they will react how they want to react. People will have reactions. People will always have opinions. People will always have opinions about you, about them, about other people, about life, about whatever. People will always have opinions. We all have opinions. However, you are still entitled to your no. To your no. Like, do you even know what your no is? What is your no? What is your yes? And actually, a lot of the time, sometimes you don't know your yes until you know your no. You actually have to know your no's first. What are your no's? What do you say no to? Or are you just available for anything, anywhere, all the time? Are you just available for anything? You know, that will make you miserable. And that is probably part of the reason why you're dissatisfied with your life, if you have not clearly established your no's and you're not working to communicate them. And by the way, I keep trying to stress, it doesn't need to be a communication. Like, I don't need to tell people like, oh, I don't talk to anyone after 11. My phone's just on DND. My phone is just on do not disturb, period. Like, that's what I mean by like, you have the conversation with yourself first, and then you embody the boundary. You embody it. You're living the boundary. That's what I mean by embody. You're now living the boundary. People literally cannot reach me from 11. Or, you know, sometimes if I'm having a really bad day and I really need a personal day, I sometimes will put a sign on my door. So the other people who live with me just know. They just know I'm unavailable today. And, you know, people will react. Sometimes they do. They react the way that they react. And like, that's real. And I know that's tough. Like, it has taken time and inner work and personal development for me to be able to be okay with other people reacting negatively to me and to my decisions. But it's something that we just have to come to make peace with. We have to try and make peace with, because we can't let other people's insane reactions, sometimes they are insane and wild and unfounded and unreasonable, sometimes they are. We can't let that stop us from living our best lives and from protecting our peace and from doing what makes us feel best. We can't. So, yeah, like, I'll put a sign on my door. I am the kind of person who I will do what I need to do for my peace. I will do what I need to do. I will embody the boundary, and it doesn't need to be a conversation with people. It actually doesn't. You don't have to be like, hey, so if you could just maybe not talk to me today, or like, hey, so I kind of like, I'm trying to leave to go home. So if you could just kind of let me go home. No, stop. And people will get mad at you. Sometimes people will actually, like, they get mad at you because sometimes what we do is because we haven't made the decision with ourselves. We haven't written the contract with ourselves. We haven't decreed the terms of agreements with ourselves. We underhand, like, we subconsciously try and get other people to sign the contract. We subconsciously try and get other people to sign the contract, and then they get pissed off because you're not owning what you want. People are going to get pissed off with you or frustrated or just tired of you when you don't own what you're trying to do and own what you want, because you're trying to make them responsible for your boundary now. That's extra work. Like, they didn't sign up for that. They didn't get paid to do that. Like, that's not in the job description. No. So, own your boundaries. Own it. Stop trying to, like, underhand try and get someone to co-sign your boundaries with you. What you want is what you want. What you're available for is what you're available for, and what you're not available for is what you're not available for. Okay? Yeah, so that was all I have to say on boundaries today. I'm sure it will come up more, because boundaries are they're a big discussion, and I think they're important to have, and there's probably some stuff I missed. So maybe I'll make more videos in the future talking about boundaries. If you would like to discuss your boundary setting with me, I'm available for that. You see how it works? I'm available for that. So you can reach out to me via email. I'll leave my email in the description box. Yes. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was useful, helpful. Please comment, like, subscribe if you so please, if you're available for that. I'm getting corny. Yeah, please comment, like, subscribe. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.